My Dry 30, the creator is a salesman that realized that alcohol is so normalized that many of his work meetings involved drinking alcohol. And he was surprised. It was like how we normalized it. So it's everywhere. So that's why he started investigating a bit more and started contacting psychologists. And that's where I come in the picture to create this program. And we knew from the start that we didn't want to make people feel bad if they want to moderate instead of completely quit. Because at the end of the day, it's a personal choice. And we understand that people sometimes like drinking alcohol, and that's completely fine. There are many things in life that can harm you, but there can also be a bit good in moderation, right? So we just want to help people heal the relationship with alcohol. As you said, that's what we say it in the website. So they choose when to drink instead of doing it out of habit or as a coping mechanism.
Welcome to Linda's Corner, where we bring more hope, healing, and happiness to the world. My name is Linda Bjork, and today we're going to be talking about getting sober. I'm delighted to welcome Silvia Subirana. Silvia is a clinical psychologist and the content director for My Dry 30, an innovative app designed to help users take control of their relationship with alcohol. You can reach Silvia at her website, mydry30.com, and on social media, and I'll include those links in the show notes. Welcome, Silvia. I'm so glad that you could join with me today.
Hello, I'm very thankful for you having me.
I am so excited. I checked out the website, and as I'm reading the wording, it just makes me so happy. I read things like healing the relationship with alcohol. And there's another quote on the website that says, it's not about giving up something. It's about everything you gain. And it just feels good. It feels like you're not beating somebody on the head saying, stop doing this. It's about saying there is a joyful, wonderful life available for you. Let me help you achieve it. So would you mind telling us a little bit about My Dry 30? How did that come to be?
So, I didn't create My Dry 30. I found the project when it was still starting. And the creator is a salesman that realized that alcohol is so normalized that many of his work meetings involved drinking alcohol. And he was surprised. He was like, how we normalized it this bad. So it's everywhere, right? Um, so that's why he started investigating a bit more and started contacting psychologists, and that's where I come in the picture, to create this program. And we knew from the start that we didn't want to demonize alcohol. We didn't want to make people feel bad if they want to moderate instead of completely quit, because at the end of the day, it's a personal choice. And we understand that people sometimes like drinking alcohol, and that's completely fine. There are many things in life that can harm you, but there can also be a bit good in moderation, right? So we just want to help people heal the relationship with alcohol. As you said, that's what we say it in the website. So they choose when to drink instead of doing it out of habit or as a coping mechanism, which is what a lot of people do, unfortunately.
And so let's kind of go there. I love how you brought all the things together, that we're not talking about good and bad. What we're talking about is healing our relationship with alcohol, which often means healing our relationship really with ourselves, because alcohol is often used as that coping mechanism to numb, to hide, to just deflect something that I don't want to feel or I don't want to face. And so how are you putting this together in such a way that people are recognizing that that's where we're going, and not saying, you really shouldn't be doing this, because that's your choice, really.
Yeah, really. So our message before people start our program. So My Dry 30 offers a 30-day program of no alcohol during those 30 days. And then after that, people can choose if they want to pursue a moderation path or they want to completely quit. And that is completely up to them. And What we do during this month and before people start the program is reinforce that message to not um, let people feel guilty with themselves or ashamed of themselves. Um, but to use that guilt as a tool to say, okay, I feel guilty because of my intake of alcohol. I'm going to use that guilt to not do it in the future, right? To remind myself how I don't want to feel in the future. And um, the app, the program, not only connects with that part of not drinking alcohol, but also in order to do that healing with like in ourselves and get more self-knowledge, we offer many, many different tools. So the program basically is 30 minutes a day, and it's 15 minutes of a hypnotherapy audio that later on I can explain what hypnotherapy is, because I think it's a bit misunderstood out there. But yeah, 15 minutes of hypnotherapy, 10 minutes of journaling questions, and 5 minutes of reading. With those journaling questions, we want to tackle many, many different aspects of people's lives, their mental health, their coping skills, their relationships, their um, many, many different things, right? So with the hypnotherapy, we want to tackle the unconscious mind, but then with the journaling questions, we want to tackle the conscious mind. And with that combination, people really understand a lot of themselves and how they work as a normal basis. And then the readings are like 5 minutes of a bit of knowledge of different topics, like again, relationships, peer pressure, about habits, about happiness, about many different things related to this. And in the app, there's also a toolkit where there's some relaxation, there's some meditation videos, but there's also other exercises to learn more about oneself for self-knowledge, about trauma, about how to deal with emotions. So the app covers many, many different aspects because we understand that as you said before, the consumption of alcohol is not a unique thing. It goes aligned with so many things in one's life that we need to tackle different aspects in order to get that person where they want to be in more aligned with their values.
I just want to cheer, Sylvia. That was amazing. There are several points in there that I would just love to expound on and then go even deeper. One is
Mm-hmm.
some of the research that talks about the difference between don't and can't. And it's been used often in weight loss, but drinking absolutely is the same thing, where it's the idea of I can't drink versus I don't drink. One feels like a choice. I am making a choice. And the other one feels like someone is trying to force me to make me do something. And I love the approach here. We're talking about let's give a 30-day break, and then you can choose. And then if at that point you choose, it's not I can't drink alcohol. It would be I choose I don't drink alcohol. And
Mm-hmm.
letting that be part of us is empowering. And when we are empowered, I feel like we have a much greater chance of success. I also love the approach that there's practical tips involved in there. I believe that all real change and personal transformation comes from a combination of learning and doing. And as you're describing the methods where we're having some readings, we are learning. And then we're doing something about it. The journaling is a doing action, and it requires our effort, our input to be able to make that change. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that you're working with both the conscious and the unconscious mind. And I'm so excited to get into this part because this is something that a lot of people don't understand. And I'm excited to hear your insight. But let me start with my understanding. First of all, our brain activity, about 95% of our brain activity is unconscious and about
Mm-hmm.
5% is conscious. And so if we try to approach sobriety or dealing with any kind of addiction by saying, well, let's use our willpower, which is my conscious mind, that's 5%. The other 95% is going to win every time. And it makes people feel like I'm not strong enough or I'm not I'm a failure. I couldn't do it. And it's really not fair because
Mhm.
when we try to only work with our conscious mind, it's not a fair battle. Unless we can address and work with that unconscious mind as well and get them on the same team, we're going to lose every time. And that's frustrating. So I would love to hear you explain about hypnotherapy and help people be able to understand that it's not that little circus sideshow that maybe you think it is.
Yeah, I think movies have had a very like harmful impact of like on hypnotherapy and understanding what it is, or hypnosis, right? Because it's eventually the same. Um, Again, it's not what you said, like swinging a pendant in front of your face and then just like clicking my fingers and saying, "Okay, you're gone, and now you're gonna rob a bank." That's not at all how it works. What I like to explain about hypnotherapy is that you are conscious all the time. You are aware of what's happening. So I think that gives people a bit of sense of relaxation. As it like, okay, if I understand what's going on at all times, then I am a bit more in control, right? And as humans, we hate not being in control. So that is a good thing, right? And so basically, when you are being in trance or hypnotized, which is basically the same, um, you get into a deep state of relaxation where, again, you're still conscious, but all those problems, all that noise in your conscious mind just dials down its power. So it's you can get more in touch with that unconscious mind or that state of relaxation of yourself, right? So basically, in that state of relaxation, you are more open to suggestions. Again, suggestions that align with your values. So if I tell you you're going to rob a bank, even though it's a suggestion, or you should rob a bank, right? Um, you're not going to do it because that's not aligned with your values. But if I tell you you're going to start making better decisions, you're going to I don't know, start, for example, not drinking alcohol or stop eating sugar or whatever you can use it for. Then little by little, your brain starts understanding those suggestions and integrating them in a way that is easier for people to understand. Is that the brain is very plastic. It can understand, it can create new neural paths at any age. We have the belief that once we get older, we just cannot learn or cannot create more paths. And that is not true. It's true that maybe a kid has more ability to do so. Yeah. But as an elderly person, like 80-year-old, 90-year-old, you are still capable of doing that. Maybe it takes a bit longer for your brain, but you are still capable of doing that, which is the main, it is the key thing, right? So basically, what hypnotherapy works is in those paths that we have between our neurons, our brain cells, right? Because there's messages in between those neurons. So the brain is a bit I don't like to call it lazy, but yeah, it's a little bit lazy, as in there's so many things that the brain has to do in our bodies so everything works all right, that in any little thing that the brain can save some energy, they will do that, right? So the brain doesn't understand the difference between something that is good for yourself or bad for yourself. It only understands what you do frequently. So if, for example, you get home from work after a long day and you have a glass of wine and you do that very often, your brain understands that that is something that you're gonna, like a tool that you're gonna use frequently. So the path in between neurons is going to become stronger, stronger, stronger. So instead of a one lane road, it will be a motorway, right? It will be big because that way the brain can save energy. But of course, that doesn't help you because that is very, as you said before, if you want to get out of that motorway with willpower is extremely difficult because that is the brain's default mode, right? Like it just goes through that motorway because that's what you've done for a while. So that's what the brain thinks that you should do. Um, and hypnotherapy basically does, it's very powerful because it creates an alternative path little by little, without you even realizing it, a little path between like other neurons that encourage you to, for example, in our case, not drink alcohol and make better choices for yourself, aligned with your values, even if that is drinking alcohol from time to time, but just make better choices for yourself, aligned with what you want, right? So what hypnotherapy does is little by little reinforce that path so it can go from a 1 lane road to 2 lanes, and then eventually it can become a motorway, and then the other one will eventually as well lose its power.
Oh, I love that. This is so cool. And I love to hear these truths being brought out more and more and more. There's reasons why we do what we do. And I loved how you explained the brain, that we have these pathways. We have these
Mm-hmm.
pathways that are like a motorway, where if we go on a wonderful freeway, we can go as fast as we want and as easy as we want. And our brain is, as you said, lazy. Another way to put it is efficient. My brain
Mm-hmm.
is efficient. It's going to choose the simplest, easiest way to get there. I'm going to use my energy someplace else. I already know what I'm supposed to do. When I come home from work, I get a glass of wine. That's what I do. That is the path. I don't have to think about it. I just know what to do. And that's fine if that's really what you want to do. But if you're doing it just because that's what you do without thinking about it, and maybe you want to choose a different path, isn't it wonderful that there is a way to do that? Because my brain default is going to say, but this is what I do. And to try to get out of it with willpower, as we've mentioned before, is very, very hard. And so
Mm-hmm.
creating that new road and letting it, maybe it just starts as like a dirt pathway, something that's
Mm-hmm.
different. And as we keep traveling and traveling it, then that can become a new, normal, easy way to do it. And I think that matters, that we understand that the new pathway, the new way of living, the new way of being will become just as easy and normal and natural and comfortable as the old pathway that I'm following now. Because when we first try to make a transition, gosh, it might feel hard. And I think, man, is this going to be hard forever? I don't want to have something hard forever. But it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be that way. And I loved as you described the neuroplasticity of the brain, that our brains are able to change. They are able to make new pathways. And it matters that we know that the science says, yes, this is true. This is possible. And then if it can be possible for me and I want to make a change, oh, that gives me hope. And I need hope, because if I don't have hope, I don't even want to take the first step. If I think, man, nothing works, everything is hard, then I don't make that effort. But if I know, hey, this is possible and this is going to become easy after a transition period, we got to put that in there. Then I think, oh, well, I do want this. I do want this change. So let's put in the effort to make that change. That's beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see. Was there another question? One of the things you had on here was talking about pleasure versus happiness. Are we looking for happiness in the right places? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Mm-hmm. So basically, aligned with what everything I just explained before and what you summed up very nicely now, um, we are very, very caught up into um, things that are not really well for us. Like, for example, um, we think that buying a new house, buying a new car, getting a promotion will bring us happiness. But in the end, those things won't bring you happiness, because you will get that car and then you'll be happy for, I don't know, a week. And then after that, you'll be like, okay, what's next? Or you'll get a house. And then eventually, at one point, you'll be like, I want a bigger house. So we are never satisfied. And we have the feeling that we keep chasing and chasing happiness and it will never arrive because we always want more. But the thing is, that is not happiness. That is what society has sold that happiness is, but it's not. That is pleasure. That gives us a spike of dopamine, of pleasure, right? There's a lot of things going on in our brains, but to make it simple, pleasure is more associated with dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter that again gets segregated when we feel pleasure. And then happiness is more linked to serotonin. And I really like the difference between those two neurotransmitters because uh, for dopamine, we can keep seeking that high, that pleasure, and we always want more. So dopamine is very, very involved in addictive behaviors because we are always seeking that high because we always want more and more and more. It's like dopamine is like a wave in the ocean, right? It goes up and down, up and down. You like high, and then when you're in the low, you just want to seek for another high, and then you're stuck in that roller coaster, right? In that up and down of the waves. Um, and serotonin, on the other hand, when your body segregates it, you feel calm, and then your body says, "I like this feeling. I don't need it anymore. I'm satisfied." Which again cannot have that component, that addictive component that I was talking about before. So if dopamine is like the waves in the ocean, serotonin is more like the bottom of the ocean, which is stable and it's always there, right? And basically, how do we nurture serotonin? How or happiness? How do we segregate serotonin? By doing things that are aligned with our values. That's why from My Dry 30, we really want to help people understand what they want in life and what they want to do with the people around them. Because again, serotonin is segregated when you are surrounded by your loved ones and you feel that you are loved and that people, more that you have people around you that matter to you, right? So again, as we take a holistic approach in the program, we want to help people nurture that as well. So there's what we call connection days, and it's like a short banner where we encourage people to do a 2 minute task. It literally doesn't take more than 2 minutes. And for example, the first one is gratitude. And you'd receive a banner saying, grab your phone and call someone or send a message to someone that you appreciate in your life and or that has done something that, I don't know, you're thankful for, and let them know. Because we appreciate a lot of things in our lives, but we don't let people know enough. So again, we encourage with that little banner, saying, yeah, just let them know that you appreciate them and that you are happy to have them in your life. And that will make the other person's day, and that will make your day as well. So in the end, we focus on creating or encouraging people to create those moments where serotonin is segregated, where they will feel more happiness and understand that that pleasure that they were seeking with alcohol, because again, the high that you get from alcohol doesn't segregate that. Serotonin is more linked to dopamine. That won't give you happiness. That will only want you or let you, like, I don't know, get stuck in that cycle of always wanting more.
Thank you. And thank you for that clarification because I did not understand the different roles between serotonin and dopamine. I knew that they were both neurotransmitters that help me feel good and feel happy, but I didn't really recognize the separation that one is linked to more of a pleasure type of a situation, kind of that spike, as you mentioned, the waves, versus the serotonin, which is more stable. And that feeling of being satisfied, that's more of a calming, stable, connected thing. And I can just see such a beautiful, this is not just about being sober. This is not just about my relationship with alcohol. This is about me and my well being and my happiness. That increasing gratitude and increasing connections and improving relationships, because making those phone calls and making the effort into those relationships is gonna come back to me. As you said, we've it's gonna help them, it's gonna help me. I'm gonna have that win-win scenario. And as we
Mm-hmm.
talked earlier about the neuroplasticity of the brain and how we're in the process of creating new pathways. And you're probably very well aware of this, but the research shows that when we are in a state of gratitude, our brain's neuroplasticity increases, which means that it will be easier for us to make those changes. It will be easier for our brain to make those new pathways, and it builds on itself. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been shown that gratitude has so many benefits. That's why we thought that we needed to include that because, again, well, positive psychology really, really relies on that gratitude. And I love a lot of work that has been done from that aspect because a lot of people think that psychology only tackles the problems, I would say, like or the negative aspects of one's life, but then psychology is way more than that. You don't need to go to therapy because there's something wrong with you or because you're struggling. You can also go to therapy to nurture yourself, nurture your person, and nurture the relationships around you and learn how to do it more efficiently, right? And help yourself to get better. Even if you are feeling all right with who you are right now, you can always use it as a tool to learn more. So, again, gratitude is a very accessible and easy tool to use, but it's extremely powerful.
It is. And isn't that crazy? Because it's so
Mhm.
simple. And in fact, sometimes if you say, well, we should just be grateful, it's almost offensive. It's like, don't you realize I have real problems? I'm dealing with real issues, real struggles in my life. Don't give me some Pollyanna answer like just be grateful. And yet the research shows this is not a little namby-pamby tool. This is real. It really changes that our brain function, our structure, and it is so useful as we're trying to make these changes. I love that you bring out that psychology is not just to deal with problems, but it is to improve our life. It is to make us happier, to make us feel more fulfilled. Because I think that's a place a lot of people are missing, especially as we talked earlier about the dopamine and searching for the next thing, searching, um, because we don't feel fulfilled. We feel empty. And when we feel fulfilled, when we feel like, wow, my actions, my life, what I'm doing is aligned with my values, I feel great. And then, yes, you can have the house and the car and all of those other things too, no problem. But it's inside first.
Mhm. Definitely. Yeah, but you summed it up very beautifully, but for me that's the key of the program as well. As well, or like also to stop drinking alcohol for sure, but or to moderate the consumption. But the key aspect is to just understand more about oneself and to also understand that there's many tools that you can use in many different moments of your life. And even if you're not struggling, just to help you cope with everything better. And that will give you power. Knowledge will give you power. And that is really beautiful because then you understand how you work. And because of that, you will probably understand more the conflicts that you have with people, the any problems, anything that brings unpleasant emotions and how to deal with those unpleasant emotions.
That is just fantastic. So if I'm understanding correctly, if I'm using the app, the first 30 days, we're going to be doing the journaling. We're going to be doing these little sessions for the hypnotherapy, and we're also going to be
Hmm.
doing some. Let's see, there were three parts. Hold on, what was the third one?
Yeah, hypnotherapy, journaling,
Reading.
and reading.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So do those three things, and for 30 days, I'm going to abstain completely from alcohol. We're just going to have a fresh start. And then
Mhm.
after that time, do I continue to use the app? Is it just following those little tools and those little 2-minute things? Or what happens after that first 30 days?
So at the moment, we only offer those 30 days. We're working on creating two different paths to help people stay in that path, in those two paths that I mentioned before, that we encourage either moderation or complete sobriety. But at the moment, it's only 30 days. And when people ask me, can I do it again? I say, yeah, go on. You can repeat that month because by the time you're on day 30, you don't remember what you listened to on day one, right? So you can listen to that hypnotherapy again. And probably there's some days that you haven't responded to all the journaling questions, or you have skipped some because they were a bit uncomfortable. So maybe in the second month, you feel more, well, you have that knowledge and that power to respond to those questions, even though they were uncomfortable a month ago, right? So I always encourage people to do the second on a second month again if they want to keep going. And I also tell them that it's completely fine if they have a moment of weakness and they end up drinking someday, because that is part of the process. It takes a while. As you said before, it's not like an instant change. You need to get there, right? And it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes work, but eventually you will get there. So you need to believe in that change.
I'm so glad you brought that up because sometimes people feel so frustrated when they mess up that they just give up. So we don't want messing up to mean giving up. We can try again. And
Mhm.
and it's okay, especially during that transition time, to not be perfect. Give ourselves permission. This is what I want, and I can get there. And then, as we talked about earlier, remember that the new pathway can become as easy and normal and natural and comfortable as the old one was. It can become, if your personal goal is to abstain from alcohol completely, maybe that's been an area in your life where it's a frustration, it can become as easy and normal and natural to live that way as it is to live with it. And it can be joyful, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for joy. We're looking, and it sounds like everything that you're doing is to help people meet their goals, that their lifestyle matches and aligns with their values. And that's just beautiful. Oh, Sylvia, this has been amazing. Is there anything else you want to make sure that we cover before we close today?
Well, I think we covered a lot of important points. Yeah, I think I'm happy with everything we said. It's just for people to like, I want to insist on the fact that everything that is worth it takes time, and that's completely fine. You just need to believe that that will happen. And yeah, take it easy. Don't put that much pressure on yourself.
Oh, I love that. And I will include all of the links, how to get a hold of you so that they can learn more information. Perfect.
Mhm.
In closing, I'd like to share a quote by Trisha J. She said, "Choosing sobriety is choosing self love." Today, I invite our listeners to choose self love. See you next time on Linda's Corner. Thanks for tuning in to Linda's Corner podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends to help us inspire even more listeners. Be sure to visit hopeforhealingfoundation.org for free and affordable resources to help you overcome life's challenges. And explore healingbreathworkdetox.com, where you'll find transformative tools for deep inner healing and lasting change. Also, don't forget to check out my books, Crushed, A Journey Through Depression, and You Got This, an action plan to calm fear, anxiety, worry, and stress. Your journey to hope, healing, and happiness starts here.